Hello, and welcome to the Art for Not Rechanging. I think I've done an accent before. I guess I did the pirate thing once, but I don't think I've gone full Spielberg villain Nazi on it before. Hi, who am I? I don't know. I've been drinking all day and I've totally lost track. I was a guy, now I think I'm some other guy. I have no idea. I'm Christian De Matteo, co-founder of Fugitive Poems Comics, and this is The Art Will Not Be Changing, and there's always got an amazing show for you. We've got a great show for you. You're going to have a great time. While the show is on, as it airs from 8 p.m. EST to 9 p.m. EST, if during that time you should be wise enough to order a product from fugitivepoems.com, if you should be wise enough to take your hard-earned money and send it to me, you could get something like Blood Valkyrie in Vegas, the story of a young Vegas showgirl who goes to a party that turns into, quite naturally, a satanic blood orgy. All the blood, sex, guts, and rock and roll and profanity you could ever possibly want right here, and we'll send you with it this terrific parental advisory explicit content sticker and the Fugitive Poem sticker if you order during the show. You could also order the newly restocked second edition of Monsters, Beasts, and Bastards. 192 pages of completely unique, wild comics about, this is going to shock you, it's so subtle, Monsters, Beasts, and Bastards. You can get Containment Breach 2, Containment Breach 3. You can get all kinds of crazy stuff with the Fugitive Poems sticker, which I put down and it's gone because that's what this desk is like, if you order during this live show. So we've got some cool stuff to talk about. I see that Sabina Colleran is here. Hello, Sabina. I see that Mark Capitelli, senior editor and Horse Thief, is here. Woohoo! CB4 is back. Yes, it is. We've got great things going on. One of the guests on the show was telling me earlier that in preparation for coming on, he watched a couple of previous episodes, and I was shocked that he still agreed to come on. So we're going to have some fun with that. Remember, go to fugitivepoems.com and get your awesome comics. And in the meantime, let me introduce you to some other truly amazing comic creators. I'm bringing to the screen Adam Matthew Smith.
Hello.
Hello and welcome. Welcome. I like we're doing accents. This is good.
Oh, yeah.
And as a De Matteo, I like the Matthew in your name. We got a thing going on. And then I'm going to introduce Mr. John Muth.
I got nothing. I had nothing for an accent. Damn.
All right. And we are removing it. No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say, the only reason I didn't cancel was because I would have incurred the late fee that you charge all your guests.
That's right. It's a very expensive situation here. Mark says we call his desk the black hole, which is also how he makes his living. If anyone knows the movie reference, and no one ever does when I say this on the show, there's a specific movie reference Mark is making. Wow, did he have the right stream? And applause. Folks, this is The Art Will Not Be Changing. Subscribe to Fugitive Poems. Every Thursday at 8, we have, wait till you see how awesome these guests are. We have great conversations. We have a wild time. Subscribe, hit the like button, and ring that bell so you get notified every time. You don't want to forget. You don't want to forget. You'll be like, holy shit, I miss Christian De Matteo. My life is now incomplete. And it's true. You'd be useless. So welcome. We've got two creators here doing very different, very powerful, very awesome, and the most important word here, indie comic stuff. I mean, this is the world we're in, right? Where we come up with stuff. We're not beholden to anybody. We make what we love, and we take what comes with it. and we get it out there because we would die and writhe up into ourselves if we didn't do this. And I know I've got two creators here with me that are like that. Adam,
Hello?
Adam, what what is Hyperforce?
What is Hyperforce? So Hyperforce is a group of rebel hypersapiens that are rising up against an oppressive government to balance the scales, essentially. So this is a cyberpunk post superhero future. This is something where superheroes did exist in the past. They were enslaved, they were killed, and these are just a few of just a, or a few of just a few remaining who are actually doing things kind of the wrong way. So I wrote a graphic novel back in like I started writing it around 2019, but I released it in 2022 called Shadows, and it's essentially the death of a character named Ultranova, who's essentially a Superman, Captain America type character, the symbol of hope, right? The first page, he's dead. So this whole world takes place. Yes, and this is my website. So we have Hyperforce issues. Oops, I'm backwards. Some people go both ways. Yeah. Uh, which way? Yeah, this way. Okay. Oh wow. Sorry, it's mirrored. Yeah, it's issues 1 and 2 right here. So Hyperforce essentially takes place a year after the end of Shadow's graphic novel. All of this stuff is on my website. So right now, Christian is on the shop on my website. So essentially, this is a group of characters who are taking kind of taking charge in the absence of hope. So the first book is called Shadows. I wasn't sure if this was during the pandemic. I wasn't sure if I was going to do anything after it. So I made this a 140-page graphic novel, essentially like a 6-issue arc. But this was my first real attempt at these characters. And then this Hyperforce issue 1 is the follow-up to that, like 1 year later. So kind of
So, folks, I put the link to Adam's website in the chat. And it sounds like what you want to do is get Shadows and then go over to Hyperforce.
Well, what I did, because some people don't want to read a graphic novel, and people told me that after I released it, is when I started trying to pitch it to stores, they're like, yeah, new readers kind of want a smaller thing that they can kind of inch into. So I was like, okay, heard. So what I did was I created Hyperforce, a series. So the first page is a newscaster that's kind of catching you up on what happened in Shadows, kind of a info dump at the beginning in kind of a
Okay.
cute way. So you don't necessarily need to read Shadows in order to get into Hyperforce, but it would definitely fill in a lot of gaps.
Very Dark Knight Returns of you.
Awesome concept, Mark says. Enslaved superheroes sadly makes sense. Where did this come from? Where did this idea come from? What popped into your head that germinated this?
So this actually, all of these characters I created when I was like 8 to 10 years old. So a lot of these storylines and things I created a long time ago. And these at the back of Shadows Hyperforce issue 1, I have the original drawings, again mirrored. The original drawings of these characters that I did in like
How cool.
94, 95, just to kind of show like where they came from. So these characters, like this whole idea was essentially my love for things like Batman, like X-Men, like those kinds of things. I loved a lot of Image comics too, like Spawn was one of my big ones back then. But um, I really wanted some of the more hopeful things to. There were some things I just never saw in those comics that I kind of wanted to do, and I kind of liked. I always loved Magneto. I always loved some of the Brotherhood mutants. Right, we're talking about mutants, which is essentially what hyper sapiens are, is like mutants in my world kind of thing, right? So I kind of wanted to write like this is the and if you want to get philosophical, this is really like the gray area between good and evil. So it's everyone is so complex in general, and it's hard to put any one person in one category, and depending on who you're asking, a hero might be a villain, you know. So it's kind of talking about ethics and morals a little bit, and kind of like letting you decide what you think about these people.
Yeah, you know the remake of the Battlestar Galactica series did that so well, where you'd be like, "Yeah, that's my man right there. He's always right." And then an episode would happen, and be like, "Oh no, that's a terrible thing. He's bad. He's bad." And I love that challenge. I love that. All right, well, not everyone's opinions are always in line with yours, just because they agree with one thing. And you know, you want to get philosophical? Don't get me started. Socrates, he believed that no one would do evil if they believed it was evil, and he gets called out on this. And he says, "Well, no, people who do evil do it because they believe that it's good, that this is the right thing to do. If they thought it was evil, they wouldn't do it because it would be bad for them." And we could totally talk about parsing words with that explanation. But it really is that, you know, you look at your opponent, you look at the person that you're debating, you look at the person that you're running against or fighting against, and they have a belief that this is the right way to handle the problem, built out of a certainty that it's the best solution.
Right.
And this is why we have such a hard time changing each other's minds. And I love this idea. So what happens now that if you have power and you can make your belief happen, you're going to need to bring up Batman again. The other side is going to need someone of equal power to stop you if they believe what you're doing is evil. So you've got a lot of cool conflicting concepts going on. By the way, Mark said, "Who the F doesn't want a graphic novel?"
I agree.
I agree. And
I agree.
As did Mark John say. Yeah, when you said that, I'm like, I don't want an issue. I finish an issue and I'm like, well, I got to wait how long now?
Right.
I want the whole fucking thing at once.
And honestly, that was my idea with Shadows, is just that if it was something that was my only, you know, attempt, which it's not at this point, but I wasn't sure, you know, I didn't want it to be a half done thing. And then people were like, well, what's next? And there was no next. I wanted it to be, so I wrote Shadows to be kind of an all inclusive story, no matter if it moves on or not. It's kind of a to be continued, you know, but it still works as its own thing. And I did try to separate Hyperforce so it didn't need Shadows to exist. So
So when I put out Blood Valkyrie in Vegas, I decided to write it. It's issue length, but it's a one shot. I
Okay.
wanted people to get the whole story. Now I got tons of ideas for what Blood Valkyrie can do in other places and other times and other genres, but you don't need to have read the previous one. Is the way I want to play it. I love sitting down and having a whole experience, and I love that you're providing this now. But with Hyperforce, how far do you see Hyperforce going?
I actually have a lot planned for it. It all depends, you know, how long I live, how long all this happens, you know, but I have a lot planned out. So I have right now, I've kind of broken it down into different arcs. So this arc is a 5-issue arc that I'm working on. So this will be 5 issues and it'll still continue as Hyperforce, but something's going to change after issue 5, like drastically. I can't say, but it's going to flip.
So they're all going to be put on Ritalin, and the hyper is going to fall downward. Right?
Yes.
Did I ruin
it? Passive force.
Yes.
They're just all like, "Hey, you guys want to get a coffee?" Sorry.
That's all right. So, folks,
Chill
if
group.
you buy
Chill
this
group.
and that doesn't happen, I'm sorry,
Chill
Tom,
force.
what did you say?
It said chill group instead of Hyperforce.
Hyperforce. Chill group.
Chill group. Hey.
Mark said Netflix made its bones by offering entire seasons at once. I hate waiting for an episode. Absolutely. Absolutely. So now, John, you are in this graphic novel world too. Tell us a little bit about your project. I was so excited to have you two on together because you're doing such different things, but with this same energy and excitement. John, what is your project?
Yeah, I'll say it's a little heartening to hear Adam's encounter with the retailer or whoever about like people don't want long things, because I've really been like lamenting that the books that I have are shorter books. Like my longest graphic novel right now is 75 pages. But right now what I'm doing is I'm doing a Kickstarter. I'm getting ready to release this 48-page graphic novella. It is a horror horror novel based, or horror graphic novella adapted from an Edgar Allan Poe story called Berenice, or Berenice, however you want to say it. It's considered to be one of Edgar Allan Poe's goriest stories, so I'm hoping that I'm living up to that. And yeah, I was just really in the mode for wanting to do a horror book. The last two that I've done were science fiction-y books, and so I was just like, what's black and white and red all over? And it's teeth pulled out of people's faces. So but yeah, we, as I think Christian said, we just hit the goal yesterday, so we're looking to see how far we can push it. And yeah, I think kind of with what Adam you're saying, like I have been doing comics for almost 30 years now, but most of them have been short comics. I've had a couple like published online and things like that, but a part of the Kickstarter is also a collection of the comics that I've done over the past 30 years that includes, like you had in the back of your book, like your kid drawing of your characters. I have my very first comic that I did when I was 16 years old,
Cool.
that I worked with a writer that I met before the internet was really the big thing. I actually, excuse me, I used to read the Max when it was being published monthly, and Sam Keith, R.I.P., had like a little like classified section in the back. And so I don't know what inspired me to do it, but I like wrote a little ad saying I'm an artist and I'll draw like commissions, or I can do comics or whatever. And this guy, who I have no idea what happened to him, emailed me, and we just did this little ash can comic. And so that was the first thing that I ever did.
That's
Wow,
super
how cool is through Sam Keith? How cool is that?
Yeah.
By the way, we've got my man Rob Toll, or Monolith Jones, in the chat saying that what's up, everybody. Rob is currently doing a comic called Dido with Rufus Black for Fugitive Poems Comics, and it is going to blow the top of your head off. Wait till you see this. It is going to be a noir, a bloody, gory, wild circus freak noir that is not going to say anything more. It's coming, and it's awesome. Mark says, don't hide your wallets because they made the goal. Continuing to support them funds for the next book, and the best part is your investment is guaranteed to result in a book. Mark, even from far away in the chat, is stealing my thunder here, because this is what I was going to say. This, to me, as a fan who really wants shit, when the thing is funded, I'm excited, because that means I'm actually going to get it. And so, folks, Berenice by John Muth is such a cool book. It is fully funded, which means it is going to happen. It is wild. It is bloody. It's an incredible adaptation that doesn't lose any of the Edgar Allan Poe from the Edgar Allan Poe. And I got to say this. John, I didn't know John that well a little while ago. He reaches out to me because I am a professional editor. And he says, well, would you be interested in editing this book? I want to put out a Kickstarter. So I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit here. And he sends it to me. And I read this thing 3 times. And I write back to him, as much as I want to take all your money, I could not in good conscience offer you anything. I would buy this in a second. It is perfect. It is beautiful. It knocked me on my ass. I went looking for missing fucking commas. I wanted to do something to prove my worth. There was nothing. This book is perfect. And it's funny because I'm a big Edgar Allan Poe fan. And I've read this story, but not for a long time. I was halfway through. I was like, I need to go back and reread the Poe story. I finished John's graphic novel and said, I don't need to. John has given the perfect reproduction of this reimagined. And what you did, John, that I think is so cool, is you brilliantly use the illustrations as counterpoint to the words, so that when Poe is suggesting something but not quite saying it, it's there, and you're like, oh shit, is that what that means?
Yeah.
Powerful and exciting. Why Poe?
Well,
Poe?
I first want to say thank you, Christian. Like that reaction, at first, when you responded, I was like, I think that I need a second opinion. But you came so well regarded and referenced that I was like, I'm going to take this guy at his word. And I pretty much launched the Kickstarter just a couple of days after you gave me that feedback. So I really appreciate the support and the love that you've really shown this book. Poe, so my as I was kind of saying before we started, I did a Kickstarter almost 12 years ago to the month for a short film that I was going to do, and it was an adaptation of a short story that's in the public domain. And I kind of was just hit by this bug of like adapting stories to prose stories to other mediums, and that like we shot that short film, we were funded on Kickstarter, all that kind of stuff, and it was a science fiction, takes place in space, so it required special effects, and the people who I had lined up to do that wound up backing out, not able to do it, and so the film kind of fell apart. Like it was just not finished, and so I felt beholden to the people who had given me their money, that they deserved something finished. I have been definitely burned by Kickstarters in the past where, you give all of this money and you're like excited for this thing, and then they just fuck off and you never see them ever again or hear anything.
Yep.
And so I was just like, I grew up enough without money that I respect when people give me their money, and I want to honor that. So that's where I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it as a comic book. It kind of goes back to growing up, the need, the desire to want to be a comic book artist that kind of went away for a number of years. And so I spent like 2 years doing a 50-page adaptation of my short film. So I call it the most expensive comic made, because I had to spend $3,000 to make a short film that I used as the storyboards for my comic book. And
It's like backwards, almost like the.
yeah. My mama raised a fool is what I would say. But so I did that. I got really good feedback from the comic and all that kind of stuff. And so then that's where the bug kind of rejuvenated itself. And so it was just, I think it was after the Netflix series for Mark, whoever brought up my Netflix before, the Fall of the House of Usher, that I was like, I'm really woefully unfamiliar with a lot of Poe stories. So I've got the book here. This is no free advertisements, but I've got this little Oxford collection of Poe. And I was like, I'm going to read through these and see if anything catches my eye. Not necessarily with an idea of adapting anything, but just to read the Poe. Like I love Gothic stories. I love horror stories. What is more of both of those than Edgar Allan Poe? And I just came to Berenice and I was like, this is fucking amazing. And looking up comic adaptations or things like that, there have been a couple of short ones. I think there was one that Richard Corbin did in like the 60s or the 70s. That's like an 8-page. And so, I was like, I can outdo Richard Corbin. But I actually bought it. I actually bought that issue off of eBay and read it. And it's so truncated. The art is beautiful, as a Richard Corbin book would be. But I was like, I think that I can really do something with this. And I really, like you were saying, Christian, like there's a part of the Poe stories and a lot of these great horror Gothic stories that leave so much like unsaid, or, it is left to your imagination. And so the same for film to comics, like, it's a visual medium, so you kind of have to find a way of filling in the gaps. You have to interpret that stuff. And so then in the story, like, the guy is crazy. He's an unreliable narrator, like all this kind of stuff. And so I was just like, okay, so what's the real story that's happening? And so that's where I had to figure out what it was. And so I like to say that, like, it just, Berenice is like 98% Poe and 2% me, because I only added one line of dialogue, and there's only like a half a page or so. Well, no, there's a page and a half of imagery that is not referenced at all from the original story.
That's the pornographic section.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
naturally. Yeah.
it's the foot fetish. It's just a foot
Yeah.
fetish.
Pony
I
fans.
wouldn't have had you on the show if
Yeah,
not for that.
I call it the Tarantino. So
Nice.
We've got Mark. Mark, by the way, last week, I'm afraid to say it, he got kicked off the YouTube chat for making an erection joke. So let's see how long he lasts this week. But he says, I love Usher on Netflix, the show, not the hip hop artist. But I think he's missing something because with the hip hop artist, you could get the sexiest STD you've ever had. Yes, Corbin, not Borden. You got like 8 things in my mind right now.
Yep.
It's interesting. You talked about the narrator not being trustworthy, which like so many Poe narrators.
Yeah.
But I find that in Berenice, it's more subtle at the start, which is funny because he's so batshit.
Yeah.
It's more subtle at the start. Talk about fetishes, than it is with like. I mean, read the Telltale Heart. He basically, the first line of the story is basically, yeah, I'm bug fuck nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be the first sentence.
Yeah.
That motherfucker's eye is driving me crazy. You're like, okay,
I
know
think
where we are.
I think Poe gets you because you want to give people the benefit of the doubt. And so when he starts off a story and you're like, this guy's crazy, but maybe, let's hear him out. Let's hear what he's got to say. And
well, the worst is when you start, you've nailed him down as crazy.
Yeah.
And then you start identifying with parts.
Yeah.
Now, so what, and Adam, I'm going to turn this back to you in a second. John, what about Berenice? What core element or theme is it that most you said that this has got to be the one I do?
I mean, I guess fetishizing is the theme of the day. So anybody who doesn't know the story, it is about a guy who kind of becomes obsessed with this girl's teeth. And the way that it is described in the story, it goes back and forth between being like, is he really seeing the teeth, and is that what the object of his obsession is, or is it that he's batshit crazy and the teeth are sort of like embodying their own thing? And so that's where I really found that going into the visualization of the straightness and the parallelness of teeth can really like infiltrate his world and just surround him by everything that looks like teeth. And so that was like the real visual in that I was like, I'm just going to be drawing fucking teeth, 24/7 for however long.
and you guys, he's not kidding. The thematic, the art is thematically lined up. You're not going to be sitting there going, "Oh, another page of teeth," but there is both
only a couple
straight
times
line
where you
and
have
curvature that are menacing, and that they degrade as the story goes on.
That's awesome.
It's so great, folks. Mark says, "How cool is this stuff? Don't miss an episode. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more geeky goodness. More importantly, buy the books. You can directly support the arts." And folks, to that end, I have put the link for John's Kickstarter for Berenice, the Edgar Allan Poe story, the John Muth story, in the chat. There's only a couple more days. You want to order right fucking now. And when you order, hop in the chat and tell us what level. We're going to be talking about the cool tiers that are available in a minute. What level you ordered at. Just throw it right in the chat. So, Adam, we've got a really good sense with John here of what drew him to this story. Now, you are continuing a tale within the same universe. 2 different books, same universe. You could have gone on and written, and I know you've written a bunch of other stuff. What keeps, I want to talk about that too. What keeps pulling you back to the Hyperforce world, to Shadows? What is it that you're investigating there?
Okay. Well, first off, before I get into that, I do want to say it's awesome that you put us in this together. I'm a huge Edgar Allan Poe fan, have been my whole life, and my first dog was named Raven after the Raven.
Nice.
And
Nice.
I was always planning to get a female dog at one point and name her Annabelle. I've had this whole like thematic in my head, but hasn't happened. But it will.
Well, what I found strange though was that your first Raven was named Dog, and I thought that was an odd choice. I'm sorry.
You're right. Um, and also it was awesome that cover was really sick with all the hands coming down. That was really cool. Anyway,
Thank you.
um, that's actually a really good question. I am writing stuff with other characters too, and I'm kind of reserving other stories for like anthologies and other things I'm doing. But I don't know. I feel like these are my kids because I've had them since I was a kid, I guess, and I feel like I shelved them for so long. I stopped doing this stuff when I was like, prepubescent. I got a guitar and I became a musician and did all that, did a whole thing with that. But I around I guess 2016, I was living in New York and I was looking through some old, you know, drawing books. I kept all my old drawings and I was like, you know what? I really think I want to, come out, play with these toys, bring them out of the closet. And so I did, and here they are. So I just feel like Shadows was like laying the groundwork, I feel like. Even though I was trying to tell a story, it's really more or less about one character, even though I have a whole cast of characters in that book. So what Hyperforce is I guess more of a kind of a zoom into who they are as characters and not so much this zoomed out worldview of what's happening. And so it's a little bit more interpersonal interactions and that kind of thing.
I noticed that with what I saw of Hyperforce, there is a focus on character, and I think that in our current moment in history, where comic books have become the cornerstone of entertainment, which is hysterical for all us 80s and 90s nerds,
Right.
who were mocked, right? All of a sudden, all the guys that used to make fun of you are like, oh, you
Like,
see these
oh,
Spider-Man
okay.
movies? Yeah, it's like, now you like it, you fucker. But there's got to be, Mark is saying what I'm going to say. There's got to be something more than cool costume, cool weapon. Have you heard this premise before? It's like, no. Character, as Mark says, is everything. And when you can get into someone with a struggle inside, someone who is tunnel visioned despite everything around them, and just stay with that character. With John, with the narrator, right? He's got tunnel vision. He's not seeing the rest of the situation for what it is. You bring that to a superhero or someone with superhuman power, and you're dealing with something very frightening.
Yeah.
You're dealing with something very complex and something that makes you think. And I think that's so important. We're saturated with cool pictures of good guys hitting bad guys. Yeah, I mean, we got it. We know
Truly.
it. At this point, we make fun of the superhero landing, right?
Right.
We all know it. We know all the dynamics, but it's got to be about the characters. Got to be something new on offer. And folks, Mark keeps saying, watch this show because we're talking indie comics. Indie comics, folks, is where it's at. This is where people can push those borders because I read an article today. I took my son to see Backrooms last Sunday.
How was that?
It was actually a lot of fun. I thought parts were a little slow, but he apparently did not. I was watching the horror on his face the entire time. I had a great time. One of his friends ended up being there with his dad, and apparently the next day in school, the kid said to my son, "Says your dad okay?" And Dashel is like, "Yeah, why?" He says, "Your father was laughing through the movie." He's like, "Yeah, he really likes horror." I'm like, "Do you people not see how funny this is?" And apparently I'm just really fucked up. But there was an article out today that Backrooms and the other horror movie that's out right now that I can't remember the name of,
Obsession,
beat the living shit out of The Devil Wears Prada 2 and some other tentpole movie. And this is the first time that their studios are like, we thought rehashing was all people wanted, and this weird from YouTube shit is taking it all over. That's because they're diving in. They're diving into character. They're taking weird concepts that anyone else would be like, what are you talking about? You out of your mind? We can't make a movie about that. And then diving into the character. This comic that James and I did together, River, is about a drug dealer who gets his hands on a time machine and proceeds to totally screw up the universe with 6 Pennsylvania cops after him who are not superheroes. They're regular cops. They don't understand any of the science going on, and the next thing they know, they're being bounced through time and space. I'm having fun with this.
That
You're
sounds
like, well,
fun.
obviously you need the lead guy to be buff. No, these are six schmoes. They're working class dudes and chicks, and we're putting that stuff out. Rob said Mandalorian got clobbered. And Mark, please excuse my whack ass dad. Sabina said, "Wow, Christian." So, but this is what you guys are doing, and I love that you are exploring these character elements, Adam. Now, but you do have other series out or other pieces. What else do you have?
So right now I'm actually working on a kid's book, and in a severe contrast from Hyperforce. But it is actually involving the Forest King, which is one of the Hyperforce characters. So really, like I said, I'm trying to reserve like other stories for like anthologies and those kinds of maybe collaborations, but um, I'm really trying to world build here, and I'm trying to. What I'm doing is, even though the Forest King, I'm not going to get into his whole character, but he's a very complex character and very dark with a very troubled past. He's in this book that I'm working on, The Forest King and the Green Action Kids. He's actually a role model for kids, and he's like a mascot of sorts, kind of like a Captain Planet, like an environmental friendly guy, and that's focused on the forest part of him, but completely ignoring his whole past of like destroying civilizations and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So, did you have a? I thought you were gonna...
I just said that sounds awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean, thanks. So he's actually my favorite character, and with this kid's book, I'm really trying to, speaking of character, trying to fill out his character to where he's more than just this one thing. And I should actually probably talk about this other thing I'm working on with him. I'm really excited about, but it's going to be very involved. And this is really actually the first time this is exclusive to the Fugitive Poems podcast. No, but so this is
subscribe, ring the bell.
This is called The Legend of the Forest King. And it basically takes place back when he's born in 982, medieval times, the middle of the Viking era, and he's born in Norway. So he's this old Norwegian Viking. Sorry, I'm getting messages on my phone. And basically the idea of this Legend of the Forest King is a book that takes place over 1,000 years. Each chapter is 100 years. So each chapter is a century, and it's his evolution as a person and the evolution of the world over time, and how he fits into the world in these different eras, and how he changes. And this is also dealing with gray area, right? Is he good? Is he bad? Who is he? Kind of thing.
Each chapter, I'm just going to casually do this. Each chapter is a century, so no biggie. Just write
cool.
Century into a chapter. Wow, how did you formulate that?
I was trying to figure out how to tell his story, because I think it might be like the most important story I tell, because it's really not. It's really about him, but also about people and the world, and just how things change, and how just the complexity of character, I guess.
Dude, that's the balls of Alan Moore. A century a chapter. That's cojones, man. I love it. I want to read that immediately.
Well, not only this,
what the
also,
fuck is wrong with me? I heard Legend of the Foreskin. I need professional help.
Well, that can be an offshoot.
It's weird because that story ends quickly. One could say it was snipped off.
Hello. No, but on top of it being a century a chapter, also each chapter is told by a different narrator. So
I love it.
Different people's interactions with him in different periods of time, and how they see him. And this is, again, all gray area. So this is perspective. This is all, everyone views him differently. And he's different, but also the people are different. So it's a different story. Same person.
Folks,
Really?
if you go to the chat. You can go to Adam's website and get his cool stuff. I cut you off, John. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's your show. You're allowed to do what you want to do. Yeah, I don't know, Adam. Are you into like Astro City? Like I'm getting some Astro City vibes from a lot of what your storytelling like structure
I'm not
and
familiar, but
okay.
if it's similar, then I would be down to check that out.
I would recommend checking that out. It's a really great. It's Kurt Busiek. I don't know if that's how you say his name. He goes back and forth in doing monthly issues to just doing straight to trades and stuff. But it's this world that is full of superheroes, but most of the stories take place by like street level people, and and this kind of goes back to what you're saying before, like with Christian, of like who the hero is kind of dependent on perspective, right? So, yeah, that really sounds awesome. I love that you're doing that as like the kids version. It's almost like creating like fairy tales of your world.
100%.
Yeah. That's your Paul Bunyan, your John Henry version of the story. The word that's echoing through my head as both of you talk about your projects is legacy, right? And this is the problem when you become known for something. I made a joke earlier about Usher. I've never been a big fan. His music's fine, but it's not my kind of music. I'm a metalhead. But I think Usher, all that comes into my head is that some woman sued him for giving her an STD. And meanwhile, there are other people that see Usher as a great performer, which he is, right? But what is your legacy? What is the thing that you're known for is problematic because there are other factors. I always think of Rudy Giuliani as a New Yorker who was here during September 11th. The man will forever be a hero to me.
Mm-hmm.
He pulled us through. It was better leadership than anyone else that was involved. And then years pass, and these other stories come out, and you're like, oh, come on, man. Could you just ride out the rest of your life being a good dude so nothing changes? But we're more complicated than that. We're more layered, and we have more temptations and fetishes, as John brought up earlier, right? And, and one little thing can taint a great legacy. So when you're talking about the Forest King,
the foreskin,
folks, not the foreskin.
Oh.
Forest King. He just said, okay, I thought he said that too.
We can talk about the foreskin. I mean, if you guys want to, shit. It's gone since birth. Sorry, guys. But
because the drawings have a little extra coverage.
But
every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future. Sabina says
it's true.
Yes. And I love that you guys you're investigating this. And then we think about Edgar Allan Poe himself, who, married his cousin in a wild life.
Many parallels to Rudy Giuliani, I guess.
That's
Yeesh.
I can't imagine how Edgar Allan Poe would have handled September 11th, though.
Oh, probably not well.
All right.
Lots of opium.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if that became a statewide policy at the time. So, Adam, when you gave us an exclusive here, what's coming next? So I put your website in the chat. Folks, go there and order now.
So actually, I do have the cover for that on my website. So under my stories page, Legend of the Forest King is coming next. So not Legend of the Forest King. The Forest King in the Green Action Kids, not the Foreskin in the Green Action Kids. Jesus Christ. But the Forest King.
I think we've just ruined your property, sir.
Smashed. No. So that's next. That's actually
where am I going, sir?
Yeah. So just down a little bit. I got a little further there.
Okay. Look at that.
That just goes to the. Okay, so that's actually a picture of the Forest King back in the Viking times. Oh gosh, this mirror thing. But yeah, you see it. Anyway, so that I guess you can't blow it up.
Oh well, no.
Yeah, sorry, I don't think you can blow. But anyway, that's the cover. It's like kind of a Cartoon Networky kind of inspired look. that I'm going for. But I'm excited about this because this is the first one I'm doing completely myself. Because the other ones I've written, and they're my characters, but I haven't done any of the drawing or anything. So besides like like sketches to show them what to do, kind of thing. And this one, the lines, the coloring, the everything, the lettering. I'm kind of working on that phase now. So this should be done by the end of this year.
All right, let's talk about this a little
Sure.
bit. I was part of me didn't want to have either of you on because I'm jealous. I am very proud of my writing ability. It's maybe the one thing I can do right. I can't draw for shit, and you're both writing and drawing your own stuff. John, tell me what came first, chicken or the egg? What were you, an artist first? It sounds like that, or a writer. And where do you feel comfortable most now?
No, I definitely started as an artist first. At some point as a little kid, I learned that I could look. My big claim in elementary and middle school was that I could look at the Ninja Turtle toys, pose however, and I could draw them with. I mean, if I looked at it now, I'm sure they were garbage, but at that time, everybody was like, "These are the coolest things I've ever seen in my life," and I now have my own original Ninja Turtle drawing. But really, like, turning to comics kind of came from I started as a movie kid. Like I spent a lot of time with my grandmother growing up, and she actually ran. This is when people had actual phones, or landline phones. So she ran an answering service in our town, and one of the companies she answered for was the cable company, and so in order for her to be able to like confirm that cable was out like in our town or anything like that, she had to have all the channels. And so she was also kind of ensconced in her little office area because she was like tied to the phones. So I kind of had the run of her house. I had access when I was like 5 and 6 to HBO, Disney Channel. Like I had everything. And this is like the beginning of HBO, the beginning of MTV. So, 5 and 6 year old, those were my formative years. So, like I'm watching like Evil Dead 2. I'm watching like Hellraiser, like all this kind of stuff, mixing it in with like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And so I was like understanding that people make that I was like, I want to do that, but I'm a poor kid, in middle Ohio. And so then when I learned about comic books and that I did have some skill, and I think drawing is a skill that can be learned. I think, Christian, if you wanted to work hard enough on it, you could certainly become an artist that could publish your own work.
Sir, I can prove you wrong, and I have.
But yeah, that's what I was
sitting
like,
here wondering if Mr. Rogers were giving the lament configuration by Pinhead, what would he want? Sorry, that's where my brain went.
Well, here's the thing. And I have never found anybody that can confirm this, but I have a vivid memory of, and again, rural Ohio. So I was on a haunted hayride, and I remember there being this giant stage, and there was a guy who was pretending to be Mr. Rogers, and he was saying Mr. Rogers-y kind of things, but then he like ducked behind the stage, and the light turned red, and he came back up, and he was dressed as the devil, like like a cartoony like devil outfit, and I think that was my formative moment where I'm like, horror is my jam. Like that's just I have to do that.
That does sound cool.
So
Mark says, John, this sounds like my childhood. HBO inspired / ruined so many of us.
Yeah.
Sabina says about my drawing ability. Oh, he's tried. At some point, I'll tell you my origin story in comics, but not now. All right, so I love this idea that they were joking in the chat. The only thing I can draw is Ninja Turtles since elementary.
Oh, nice.
And for whatever reason, whatever it takes to draw a Ninja Turtle, I have been unable to translate into anything else. I just can draw a Ninja Turtle.
Well, you just need to connect with Kevin Eastman, and then you're golden.
Right. But I love this idea that you've got all these different influences coming in. It sounds like the art certainly grabbed you, but storytelling is important to you. Yeah. And like Adam was talking about, complex characters. Mr. Rogers and the Devil.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Now, so Adam, do you have any seminal historical examples of things that inspired you? The things that were key?
I mean, so much. I feel like, I mean, Blade Runner, I saw at a very early age, and that was there. Honestly, like, I feel like, nice. Yes. Hell yeah. You know, I was really in love with the aesthetic of like what would be cyberpunk before cyberpunk really existed as a genre. Like as a kid, like I loved the whole like very neon lit future hover cars, like androids. I don't know, I just always have loved that. Um, I mean, Terminator. I mean, there were so many things that were like, very impactful as a kid, seeing them at a young age, like John did with Evil Dead
Did you
2. I didn't see Evil Dead
discover
till later.
William
Say-
Gibson? Did you discover William Gibson? I missed him.
No.
William Gibson was doing this shit. A major influence on the Matrix. The William Gibson was writing cyberpunk when we were kids. And
Yeah.
well, I think that you're younger than me, but when in the 80s, he was writing crazy cyberpunk. He was pretty much inventing the genre. Though I'm sure someone would pop in and go, "Well, actually, it was so and so." But as far as I missed William Gibson completely. It just sailed right past me, and I'm so annoyed about that now. Cyberpunk was building in our time, and I had no idea. Mark said, "All right, hold on. This twisted, holy crap, that's like Young Goodman Brown or something." John said, "Young Goodman Brown fucked me up." Hell yeah. And I teach that story in college and love it. Yes,
Nice.
yeah, and that's the funny thing. We're talking about our influences. There are often times when you're a kid, you have this assumption that if it happened in the past, it was tame and innocent. You go back and you read some of this shit, and it was wild and dark and fucked up. It's. I was thinking the other day about that expression, "not your father's," like not your father's root beer, not your father's lemonade. Well, this next generation is so much more chill than we are. It's like they're not your father's music is going to mean that it's calm.
It's chill. It's like super chill and
Yeah, because we're Iron Maiden and Anthrax, and we've got all this crazy metal and wild. So not your fathers would be like, "Yeah, you've slowed down quite a bit."
yeah.
You go backwards, and there were people exploring like Poe and Lovecraft and Algernon Blackwood, and
Mhm.
all exploring these dark concepts. Melville, we mentioned Young Goodman Brown, and we can't forget Melville as well. And John said, "Oh, John, you can say, plus our fathers were beer cocaine."
Nice.
Yes, that's true. But and you guys seem to be bringing it back. What you're doing with the Forest King, what you're doing with Poe's story and showing the delightful, folks. It is delightful. It is so fucked up in a delight. It's just like you're like, oh, that is happening. Hey, wait a minute. Is that a pair of pliers on the ground? Oh, this is happening. It's so much fun. And then to have this effed up idea that Adam has, that I got this really screwed up character. Side note, going to do a kid's book about his greatness. Right. And I mean,
But
it's
listen,
like similarly with Bare Nice, like, I originally, because I kind of like playing with style too. So, like my original concept was going to be a much more like dark gothic kind of, I mean, I'm not comparing myself to Bernie Wrightson at all, but like, just very hatching, all that kind of stuff related. But I just was sitting at my desk one night and I just drew this sort of cartoony little dude with vacant white eyes that just reminded me of like Charlie Brown or whatever. And so I was like, I'm doing this book that it's going to look cartoony. Like it's going to look like it's a kid's book. I hope that kids read it because it's a classic story. and then it's only when the real like shit kicks in that like that's when all of the cross hatching and the darkness and stuff kind of comes in. So
That's cool.
I love the idea of like what you're doing with your Forest King kids book of like introducing these dark mythical ideas to oh, the other thing, and then I'll shut up, was Christian, when you're talking about going back to Algernon Blackwood and stuff like that, I recently went back to school and got an undergrad in creative writing, and it was like right before my last semester was when COVID lockdown started. But one of the classes that I took was 18th century literature, and I was just kind of into this whole like, you know, Enlightenment, like kind of focusing on science, and we're going to get away from, no offense to religious people, but religion as like the touchstone of all this kind of stuff. But I didn't realize that the class was going to have like its own theme. And so the theme that we chose with this she was awesome, super feminist, like not quite man-hating, but very man aggressive instructor who she was amazing. She's like, I think, you know, she hates the monolith of men, not individual men. But if she's not watching, hopefully she's not watching. But the theme of the class was virgins and whores. And so we're reading these books from 1750, 1760, 1780 that are pornography. And these are like mainstream hardcore books, also horror books. Here's my exclusive for the show, is a future book that I have been planning basically since that class is an adaptation of one of those books, and it's going to be a fucking monster. I'm not going to name it because I don't want anyone to steal my thunder. I can tell you offline, Christian and Adam, but and I don't think most people even know that this book exists. But there was kind of what, going back to the Not Your Father stuff, like we like lionize and we gloss over the stuff that happened in the past, and you know, so it is amazing to see the stuff that people did in the past. And you know, like I think looking at some of those stories, look up Evelina, anybody who wants to explore that genre.
The French had some crazy shit around that time.
Yeah.
Do you ever read the story of the Eye?
No.
I was in grad school. I was in my 20s. I was wild and down for whatever, and I read that book like,
yeah.
they just went for it. Rich but not wealthy. My friend Rich but not wealthy 69 said, and I can only read it this way: did somebody say pornography?
What's up, Rich?
Mark said, I tried to back the Kickstarter, but technology hates me. I'll get it after the show. Make sure you get on that quick because it is ending. He said, I just bought Hyperforce 1 and 2. Psyched.
Thank you so much.
There you go. This is so cool. This it's interesting because the theme tonight, aside from pornography, definitely seems to be this idea of legacy, of telling stories of characters as big as people really are, with all the beauty and trouble in that. And I think that that's so important. You mentioned Alan Moore earlier. He has a story he did about the Kool-Aid Man. And it's the Kool-Aid Man telling his life story. And it's done like straight-faced, even though it's ridiculous. And he gets to the part about his involvement at Jonestown.
God.
If you haven't read this, you've got to look up Alan Moore's.
I was not aware of that. I definitely will check that out. I love Alan Moore.
Oh, Alan Moore is one of the greats.
One of the
my
best.
heroes.
Yeah.
But that, to me, I thought about that. I was like, even the Kool-Aid Man has a complex history. You know, we've all done things we're not proud of. We all go through learning moments, right? We all do things that we're proud of, and then they get overshadowed by something to us. Maybe someone else doesn't think it overshadows it. And one of my favorite lines, my buddy Mike Flanagan always used to say it about everything. It seemed like a good idea at the time. And to me, that really is so essential to how we exist. We know so little, and we have so little time to figure it out. And we're either given hardcore absolutes that we're handed and told not to think about, or we're given nothing and told to figure it out. And neither of those are perfect systems. And we are what we leave behind. And what is that? The problem is, what's the equation there? What does that add up to? What 100 years from now, when they talk about September 11th, how are they going to view Rudy Giuliani? Right? How are they going to review? Look at all these people. I think about Che Guevara, and I find out that he murdered 2 entire villages because they were against what he was doing, men, women, and children. And there are people that's what he needed to do because the cause was more important. And there are other people that say, well, that cancels out, right? How do you view it? How do you make your decisions? And did it seem like a good idea at the time? And you guys are really exploring this, and I love it. John, I want to take a quick look here. We're running a little over, but I don't care. I want to take a quick look here at your tears.
Oh.
I want you to cry for me. No. I backed the print here, but you've got a bunch of other cool stuff. Digital comics, print Berenice, and digital books. What do we get with the digital books?
So good question, and I am only moderately prepared. I don't have a print version of Berenice to show, other than my really crappy just test print that I went through and scribbled all of my notes of misplaced text. That was my editing before I sent it to you, Christian. But for the digital books, you'll get a PDF. This will be my survey. What do you all think about when you're doing Kickstarters or you're buying digital books? Do you prefer PDFs or the comic book format? I don't know how to make those or anything, but I can certainly look into that. What is people's opinion? So we can gloss over that. But the other 2 books that are in the digital comics collection this is my first graphic novel that I did. So this is the comic adaptation of the short film called Theoxenia. It's based off of a Randall Garrett short story called Time Fuse. Quick plug on that one. It's the story of people's first usage of a faster than light engine, and they didn't quite understand what that was going to do to the surrounding area, and hijinks ensues from there. Let's just say it ends with the universe blowing up. So, happy times. And then I actually did this one. I created this story as a submission for an anthology that was about faster than light travel becomes democratized. It wasn't picked up, but I really loved the story. And so it's called The Pleiades. I was on kind of a Greek kick. And it's about this girl who is in an abusive household. She has dreams of, obviously she is an alien, and she has these dreams of the Pleiades, which are a cluster of stars that are embodied as like her alien forebears. So here we have the legacy again, right? And in this world, faster than light travel has been democratized, so to speak. If the pitch of the anthology was that with it only costs you $200 to create a faster than light engine, and so that makes it accessible to everyone. And so my first thought was, as a poor kid, that's still not accessible to me. And so the book is about her scrapping stuff together to raise the money to build the stuff, all that kind of stuff. It explores a lot of my own childhood traumas, I guess, a little bit. And so I actually did that as like a senior project for my undergrad degree. And it was really great that for that, we had to bring in an outside person to like critique the book. And we found, I don't know if this is not necessarily the audience, but maybe I'm prejudiced against you guys. Her name is Mary Naomi, who does a lot of like really like arty like art graphic novels and stuff, very personal, autobiographical. But she critiqued it, and she was like, her main question was like, how did you get the insight into what it was like to be a girl, or like this, like so authentically explore like this little, not little, she's a teenager, like teenage girl experience. And I was like, well, I wasn't a teenage girl, but those were a lot of my same experiences. And so it was a great, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. Anyways, so those are the 3 comics. That's ultimately the answer to your question.
Sounds awesome.
So those are my 3 main graphic novels.
Folks, I put the link to the Kickstarter in the chat again. Go now and order. There's only 4 days left to go. That's going to turn to 3 days in a very, very short time. Get this going. It's funded. It's going to happen. Get your copy. And the Pleiades and Theoxenia, was that the other one?
Yep.
Both sound so freaking cool. You
Cool.
both had such cool. I mean, we're really dealing with high-level concepts today. Mark said Giuliani took down the New York Mafia as district attorney in the late 70s, was America's mayor, and now he's a goblin sweating hair dye at a hardware store.
Die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, baby.
100%.
Yeah.
He also said what we leave behind us is usually shit. And Rob said, and some people just wear the Che Guevara on a t-shirt.
Those same people have the shirt that says Nirvana, but it's Hanson on it, you know?
Do they actually have that as a shirt? I kind of
Yeah.
want that.
Yeah. I saw it at
That's
Walmart
really
one
funny.
time.
That would explain most of my students who come in with band tees, and I'm like, you don't know who that is. You have no. You think Def Leppard is a clothing brand, don't you? And they're like, isn't it? I'm like, get the fuck out.
That's hilarious.
Go home, listen to Hysteria, and come back and talk to me.
So funny.
Mark, John, have you ever read The Jaunt by Stephen King? It's also about hyperdrive-related tragedy. Different, short read, but so good.
Nope, but I will look that up.
This is one of my favorite things about talking, but you find out all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
You had me thinking about Camilla earlier, and I couldn't remember the name for a minute.
Yeah.
It came back to me. They were doing some. Listen, Lord Byron was a pervert. I mean, some great stuff going on back then.
I mean, there is a lot that is like innuendo and obscure metaphor, all that kind of stuff. But there's some of this shit was like on Main Street, like I said, Evelina, and I can't remember. I feel like it's it doesn't matter. We'll talk about it on Blue Sky or Facebook or something. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that it's just like, wow, I can't believe that they were writing that in the 1700s. Like, so
yeah. Or the history of a young lady's entrance into the world. I don't know this, Evelina.
Yeah.
I have to look into it.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
All right. So Adam,
Mm-hmm.
what do we look for? We go to your website. We order Shadows and Hyperforce. Mark said, John, next time you say you were a teenage girl, it'll be fun.
Should do that. I was a teenage girl.
You never know. You never know.
Adam, we're gonna get Shadows. We're gonna get Hyperforce. What do we do? What do we do next? How do we keep an eye on you? How do we find out when the Forest King comes out and all this?
I'm on Instagram, TikTok, all the socials. Adam Matthew Smith. I make it pretty cut and dry. It's just my name. It's no crazy moniker or anything. So pretty much you type I have to use the Matthew because Adam Smith, you'll never find me. You Google Adam Smith and see what happens. I did.
Folks,
Father of economics, a war general, like not me. So the Matthew has to be there.
Tell me more about laissez-faire. Folks, at Adam Matthew Smith, you want to check out what he's doing. I mean, we've had some pretty deep conversations in the last couple of weeks, and I want to make sure that you folks all see this out there. Independent comics is exploring concepts from all different angles. There's a depth. Humor that we see leans more into the absurd, right? the deeper topics that we explore go into the gray and the ins and outs and the repercussions. We've got writers, artists, creators thinking and exploring. And I've noticed with some of us, myself included, when we write, we don't know where it's going to go. We're following the character because we're asking the questions. Right? What is the right thing to do here? And you're going to all of this in the midst of gory, tooth pulling bloodshed, wild. I called them miscreants in the ad for the show. Sci-Fi miscreants. I hadn't used that word in a little while, and going over your stuff, it seemed right.
It's great.
The idea of enslaved superheroes. I mean, we're dealing with so much cool stuff. Mark says, need reading suggestions? Like, subscribe, and ring that ding-a-link. Ring the bell so you remember. Folks, we have had such a cool show tonight. Talked about you guys were a perfect combination. I'm so glad you're both on. Go back, Berenice. Go buy Hyperforce. The links are in the chat. Adam, John, thank you so much for being on. I'm so grateful. This was great. You're welcome back anytime. I'm always happy to have you and talk, especially when John gets his pornographic project off the ground, which might end up tying in with the Legend of the Foreskin. I mean, who knows? This all could be. You guys might be the next great team.
It has to happen. Legend of the Foreskin, 2027.
It'll be a flip book that we'll call the 69 edition.
And it'll just be like a...
Yeah.
You can't just pull the book out of the plastic sleeve. You got to roll the plastic sleeve down.
Slow motion.
And it's really hard to rip it open.
Yeah. So sorry, Adam. All right, Adam, John, thank you so much. Folks, you have been watching another great episode. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Of the art will not be changing. I remain and shall continue to be so until the police catch on. Christian De Matteo, co-founder of Fugitive Poems. We are Fugitive Poems, and we make comics.